Hey, hey, it's Kimberly Kane, and this is the Naked Vibes Show. I'm trying something new tonight and already have tech issues happening, but that's what happens when you try something new. So, trying to live stream on YouTube for the first time, and we'll see how that comes out. So, if you're here with me, then I'm going to ask you to be gentle, be kind, but give me some feedback too, because that always helps. I'm going to, you know, look around and see how to get a chat going here. So if you're here, know that you can type something in the chat. Hopefully, I'll see it. Like I said, it's experimental tonight. So, and hopefully that will lead me to being able to do more of these. So, one thing I want to talk with you tonight, the important thing for the Naked Vibe show is talking about creativity and the creative spark and why it matters to you feeling alive, to feeling just really vibrant and having all the energy that you want to have in your life to do the things that you want to do, to feel like your dreams matter, that your creative ideas are significant, that they're vital, that they matter not just to you, but to other people too. And so I want to talk a little bit about where that creative spark comes from. You know, I have sometimes shied away from using the word God because I know that a lot of people, when they hear that word, they kind of the switch goes off and they don't listen any further. So if that's you, I'm going to ask you to suspend that for the time that we're together. So not trying to get you to change your viewpoints on that or adopt any new way of thinking, but to really just set that to the side so that you don't let the word get in the way of the message and really waking you up to who you are and what you're capable of doing. The thing is, for me, the word God is just, it's so simple. It helps me cut to the reference to the highest level of energy, the highest source that we draw from. Because ultimately, we are drawing from something outside of ourselves to inform us of what it is that we're thinking, what it is that we want to create and put out into the world. And, you might think about this in terms of, creative energy is the same energy that creates people. Okay, so if you are if you're looking at this from a standpoint of creating a human life, okay, that obviously comes from somewhere beyond us, and it takes more than just you. It is not something that you can do alone. You cannot alone create a new human being, okay? So we're on the same page with that one thing, right? So if you think about it in those terms, creative energy comes from somewhere outside of us, somewhere at a higher love, if you will, an unconditional space of love that pours into us. And from there, it sparks something inside and it makes us feel a certain way. It gives us a certain kind of drive to take our feelings, the things that we care about, the things that we're interested in, and to spark those to a higher level. Okay. For me, music is always going to turn on that creative spark. So let me share something right here, a personal story. I went to see Peter Gabriel a couple of nights ago on his IO tour. Absolutely astounding. Astounding. The musicians, his songs, everything about it was at the highest level of performance art, music, at a level that is speaking to your soul. And I know for me, it really created a soul opening. I had been feeling a little bit creatively, let's just say dampened, maybe. And we all go through that where we have really sparked up energy to put out our creative works. And then we may go through a period where it's just like, "Ah, I got nothing, right?" And I was kind of feeling like that, disconnected from my creative self. It's always there, but mental energy, the mental games that we play, or just fatigue, grief. A lot of times, I just lost a loved one recently. And so there's a lot of things that come into play that can make your creative energy feel kind of dampened. And when I saw that Peter Gabriel was coming to town, I thought, okay, the one thing I'm going to check is Tony Levin playing bass with him. Yes, check. I am there. So I went to the show and I was so glad I did because it just opened up this, like I said, a soul opening. I could feel it pouring into me. So that for me, that's a human connection from the musicians that are on stage and everything that they're pouring out and pouring into it to a God thing. What's pouring into them? Where is it coming from? Because it travels, that energy travels, and it is powerful. So, a song that's written by Peter Gabriel, that's being performed by Peter and Tony and David Rhodes and all the amazing musicians on that stage. Manu Katché, I think is how you say it. Just forgive me if I'm saying his last name wrong because he's a phenomenal drummer. He's been playing with Peter Gabriel for forever and ever. But these players, they're getting a creative spark too in order to drive that, to put that out to an audience. So it's coming from somewhere, coming into them. Then they translate. And then it comes into those of us in the audience. It comes into me. Then another spark happens. I come home, I start writing a new song. When I finish that song, I play it for you. It travels. It creates a soul opening in you. So the energy just travels on and on. So for me, where does that creative spark come from? It's a God thing. And then it travels through people. So here's the deal. This is one of the reasons it's so important to me to continue to share with you the ways that you want to keep lighting your creative spark. Because especially for men, as men get older, and I really have to, I should stop right there and not even say that because it's happening to really young men as well. The suicide rate for men is like 4 times higher than for women. And I got to ask what's going on there. It's important for us to ask what's going on there. There's a lot of responsibilities that men carry, and they carry them alone because culturally, men are conditioned that in order to be a man, that you don't want to show your feelings, that you want to have that masculine, I got it all together. I'm a fixer. I take care of it. But at what expense? What is the cost to you? It's really high, I got to tell you. And then that costs everybody else along the line, everybody that you're connected to. So your creative energy, your creative spark is what you need to keep firing throughout your life so that you can feel alive. Because when you're feeling that energy of aliveness, then you've got the opposite thing going on from the energy of feeling like nothing matters. You don't matter. And it's the same drudgery day after day after day. And how are you going to keep it up? How are you going to keep supporting people around you? How are you going to support yourself? How are you going to find the juice to go another day? So you've got to take the action that it requires for you not to get to that level. Now, I'm not talking about professional help here from a professional therapist or counselor. When you need that, get it. I'm talking more, though, about the day to day feelings that we all go through, things that we don't really want to do, responsibilities that come our way that we think I'd really rather be doing something else. You know, welcome to the world, welcome to adult life. That's all of us. And, you know, I love rock and roll. I love it. That's really where I get a lot of juice. Okay. And if you've been tapping into my work and into the Naked Vibe show, it's likely that you get a lot of juice from rock and roll too. And that's important. It's important to know where you get your juice so that when you start feeling a loss of energy, you can go to that well and drink from it and amp up your energy, amp up your juice, flip on the switch. Okay. So ultimately, it's spiritual energy that comes from way beyond us. But like I said, that spiritual energy, though, has to translate in a tangible way in the physical world in order for us to be able to use it. Otherwise, we could sit around all day going, and that feels good. That vibration feels good right there in my body, even as I do it. So there are great things about doing that, just sitting in a spiritual vibration, connecting with God, or whatever you call that place that you connect to find that higher level of energy, where you find that place where you are loved unconditionally, where you feel comfortable in your own skin, where you feel seen and known. And if you don't have that practice in your life, I want to encourage you, even more than encourage you. I want to really like get a cattle prod and say, you've got to plug in. You have to find that place where you know you're loved unconditionally so that you can feel comfortable in your own skin. Because so many people, I think, grew up being told that who they are, that their thoughts, their ideas, their creative energy is not on the right track. And oftentimes it's being told by a person who's had the same thing happen to them. So they don't find any value in their own creative energy or ideas, so they can't really see value in yours. That travels too. And then maybe you're telling your own kid the same thing. And what you want to do is stop that voice in your head. Just stop that voice, because it's going to come back again. It'll always be around. It'll always be kind of nagging and gnawing, that little devil on your shoulder that says, you're not good enough. Why would anybody care what you have to say? Why would anybody care about hearing your latest song, seeing your latest photography, hearing your latest story? That's always going to be there. But it's up to you. It's up to each of us to have the tools to say, you know what? I see you over there talking at me, and then flick that little devil off your shoulder so that you can listen to the angel on the other shoulder, so that you can listen to that voice of God, that still small voice that comes into you and tells you that you have value, that your idea, think about this, at the highest level, I shouldn't even say at the highest level. Okay, let me change that to say at at a level where you're reaching millions of people, let's say you have an idea that is world changing. That means that it's either a new idea or more likely it's an idea that's been around and it's done in a new way. It's got your spin on it and it is world changing. Okay, right now I'm using world changing technology. We've become used to it, but this wasn't always here. I couldn't always live stream and speak to you wherever you're listening. You could be in Houston, Texas. You could be in Malaysia. You could be in Alaska. And who knows what time zone it is where you are. That is amazing, isn't it? Because it wasn't very long ago that we couldn't do that. We could connect with other people. So it wasn't a new idea to want to connect with others and to put a message out there. That idea wasn't new because we were doing that through television, through radio, and before that, through the telephone, and before that, through letters and the printing press, right? So there's always been a need to connect with other people and a desire to do that. But it's people who come up with new ideas about how to do it in the next new way. And that's always evolving. So you may have an idea that in the beginning, you share it with someone and they think, you know what, that's nuts. Okay, so I guarantee you that when we were still in the phase of just the printing press for communicating to more people, to more masses, if you will, that if someone had talked then about having an idea that there was going to be an internet and that we would be connected in this way, they would have said, you're nuts. Not the innovators, not the visionaries, not the seers, but the masses. Most people would be, you're nuts, okay? Well, that same thing is now. So the idea that you have may seem nuts to someone else, but right down the road, tomorrow, next year, 10 years from now, it's the thing. That's why you can't let anyone dampen your creative spark. And you certainly cannot stay in a pattern of dampening it for your own self. Okay, so let's say that's on an exponential level where you would be creating something that could reach thousands, millions of people. But what if it's on the level where you are the only one who is exercising your creative spark for your own self? You're sitting down with your guitar and you're coming up with, we're not even going to say a new song. We're just going to say a riff, a new riff. Da, na, 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 na. Okay, and you're riffing on that and it's evolving and it's just for you. It doesn't go anywhere else. Is that not huge value for you? The satisfaction, the feeling that you're connected to something larger than yourself, the fun, just the fun and the sheer joy of it. You are worth that. You're worth having that and investing that kind of time in yourself. You know, the other thing that I hear people talk about a lot is thinking, oh, it's going to take me so long. I don't have the time. I want to engage in creative activities, but I don't have the time. So I think a lot of people get frustrated. A lot of guys are frustrated because you're in a regular work routine and you've got a family to take care of and there's just no time left over. It's up to you to create a slice of time. If that amount of time is 10 minutes, so be it. Do it. You got to do it. If that means getting in your car and rock and roll, find your favorite song, crank it up, let it wash over you and inspire you. Because the interesting thing about that, once you spark that, it's amazing how then you can find 10 more minutes to get your guitar out because listening to that song gave you a new idea and you just want to work on that riff just a little bit. And then you find 10 more minutes. So, what I'm saying is you can find the time for what you value. So, if you place your creative ideas, your creativity at a high value, you're going to find the time to engage with it. Secondly, the amount of time that you're putting into it, small beginnings matter. Because if you have 10 minutes today and you have 10 minutes tomorrow, it may seem like, how am I ever going to create anything or really engage in the kind of things I want to do, write a song, write a book, whatever it is, in 10 minutes? Well, you're not going to write the whole thing and manifest it and make it tangible and put it out there in 10 minutes. So, see, most people are focused on that end result. They're thinking about having a song that's on Spotify that's got millions of downloads. And that's where the mind is. So the mind plays tricks on you by saying, there's the value. That is not where the value is. The value is in the creation. The value is in that creative spark. So when I say creative spark, I have to say right here that your creative energy is the same as your sexual energy. There is a buzz. There's a buzz and it turns you on. Is there not value in that? If there wasn't, nobody would be having sex. Okay. But there's value in that aliveness that you feel. So I want you to realize how important it is that you turn that spark on just within yourself. I'm not talking about as connected to another person. There's that. We got that aspect, but this is just for you right now. All right. So going back to those small beginnings, I want to show you. I'm rocking the camera here. So my novel, it's my novel, Heaven, and I'm getting ahead of myself. This, I published it. Look at the pages here are decal edge pages. They're so cool. It was important to me to do it that way. And the cover is this satiny cover. Important to me to do it that way because it's got a certain aesthetic, a certain feel that goes along with the story that's here. It's about connecting spirituality and sexuality is what the story is about. So this book, to get it to a finished state, and let me show you what else is in it, because this is part of the finished state. Yep, this is when there were CDs. I know. Still listen. A lot of people still buy CDs. So it comes with a music CD. It's kind of like a soundtrack to the book. This took a few years to make this happen, to get it into a tangible form. But you know how I did it? Every morning, I was dedicated to getting up, doing my meditation in the morning, first thing, my prayer and meditation, because sorry, I'm shaking the camera again. I'm trying to put this somewhere where it's kind of out of the way here. Hang on. Set it down there. Okay. So that morning meditation and prayer set me up for feeling my best, feeling dialed in to flow, a flow state. So instead of a thinking state of what am I going to do? How am I going to do it? Let me figure it all out. How's that going to be a tangible book later? And who's going to buy it? Where am I going to put it? Those thinking states keep you from doing what you need to do. It keeps you from engaging in a life you love. All right. So engaging in meditation and prayer first thing in the morning, it gets you out of that thinking state and into a flow state. And that is a whole other podcast talking about the flow state and how to get into that. It's extremely important for athletes, creatives, entrepreneurs, Anybody who wants to function at a high level, that flow state is essential. So we'll talk about that in another episode. Right now, I'm just sharing with you that the flow state is something you got to get into, and I can help you with that. Just stick with me. So once you're in your flow state, then next I would move into my writing time. Phones off. All things off that would cause distractions. And I would go into that creative flow state of writing and just not judge it in any way and just write and let it flow. Let me tell you, it's one of the most joyful states that you can be in. There's nothing like it. So why wouldn't you want to engage in that flow state on a regular basis? Because you got something in you. Oh, yeah, you've got something in you, something to share, something that the rest of us are going to go, wow, that's so cool. I see you. And, a lot of people just don't feel seen. They don't feel seen, heard, understood. You have to be willing to say, it doesn't matter what anyone else thinks about my creative work. What matters is simply that I engage in the time, that I open up a direct line, a direct channel. It's just God and me. It's that collective consciousness, that higher source. I'm going to let love pour into me, just pour into me. And the outcome is really not your business while you're creating. It's really not your business, because that love that's pouring into you, that God energy, it has its own agenda, if you will. That energy wants to go somewhere. And if it's not coming through you, it's going to come through someone else, because it's bigger than all of us and it's collective. So you might as well spend the time, if that spark is in you, and let it come through you. Example, have you ever had a thought or an idea and you didn't act on it, and then you went to the store and you looked on the shelf and there's some product and you're like, I thought of that. That was my idea. Or have you heard a song that you went, I wrote that song. I wrote that in my mind, but I didn't grab it. I didn't grab onto it and make it tangible. That's why it matters that you do it, because if you don't do it, someone else is going to do it. It's in the collective. There are more ideas in the collective than you can ever grab onto and put out there in a lifetime. Why is that important? Because there's enough to go around for all of us. There's enough to go around. You are never at a place where you have to feel like you're living in scarcity. There's not enough for you. There's enough for you. And when you grab your idea and you put it out into the world, you're not taking anything away from me or anybody else, because there's enough for all of us. So I want to encourage you to spend the time, to take the time, and I've got all kinds of tools to help you tap into your creative spark, to turn you on, and then to help you take that and manifest it, make it tangible. Whether you just want to use it for your own enjoyment or whether you want to make it your business. I've got all kinds of tools to help you get there. So why is it important? Because when you turn on this creative spark, or you can also look at it like a faucet, when you turn on the creative faucet and let it flow, you're going to find your life purpose within that. So a lot of people are waiting until they get inspired, or they're waiting until they have time, or they're waiting until they have enough money. None of that is ever going to happen, because here is the magic. It happens in the doing. So you do in order to receive, because once you take that step forward and you say, I'm doing this, then guess what? You've alerted God, you've alerted the universe. I'm doing this, pour into me, I'm ready, and that will happen. So it's up to you to take the step. So I talked to a friend of mine today, a drummer, and great drummer. And he's kind of frustrated right now, as are a lot of musicians I know, because they want to make music with others, and it's hard to find those others sometimes. And what I want to say to you, if that's you, if you are in a corporate job, let's say, and you used to make music, but now you're busy with that corporate job, you're busy with your family, and that music making is it's so far on the back burner, it's like a different life. It's like a past life. But it doesn't have to be. There are all of these ways for you to plug in and get that juice flowing again. Because when you do, you know what? You're going to be a better dad. You're going to be a better husband. You're going to be a better lover. You're going to be more enjoyable for your friends to be around. You're going to be full of joy. You're going to enjoy oh gosh, I've got all kinds of stuff going on here. You never know. This is the fun of tech sometimes. So, bear with me. Because what I was saying is you're going to feel a greater sense of joy for yourself. And that right there is enough. Okay, who knows? Hang on. We're going to see what happens here. This is one of my microphones that's kind of doing a thing. It's kind of, I can't figure out what's going on with it. Okay, hold on. It's the beauty of being live in the moment, is anything can happen. But I used to be on rock and roll radio and I'm still a performing musician, so I am very well versed in whatever happening in the moment and going with the flow. Okay, so it may sound a little different right now because I've had to reposition this, and hopefully it'll hold on. We'll see. Okay. So anyway, I want to really encourage you to step into whatever that is, whatever that creative whisper, let's call it that, that's whispering in your ear, that's saying, hey, this is a song, this is a guitar riff, this is a new rhythm pattern that I want to explore, this is a book, this is a photography session, whatever it is that you want to explore, you may not even know you want to explore it. It's whispering to you. I'm saying, take the step, take the action, because it's in taking the action that you're going to figure out the how and even the why if you don't already know your why. I can help you. I'm also a certified high performance coach. I'm a Remo Drums health rhythms facilitator. Remo Drums knows that engaging in that creative spark is essential to life. That is life-giving energy. So stay tuned with me. Subscribe to the channel. Give me your feedback. Tell me what you want to hear about. I also am creating a community called The Realm, which is a place where you can tap in and get some coaching from me, connect to a creative community, and I'll be telling you more about that over time here. But just stick with me, stay tuned. Also, you can find show notes on nakedvibes.com. You can subscribe to this podcast wherever you like to get your podcasts, whether it's here on YouTube, whether it is at nakedvibes.com. It will list for you, all the others, Spotify, Apple Music, etc., etc. The key is stay tuned in. And by staying tuned in, that's going to help you dive in and accept and be open to your creative spark. I want to see that from you. I want to see what you're creating. And I want to keep sharing with you and connecting with you. So thanks for indulging me today in my first YouTube live stream. We'll see how this goes. I'll post it for you if everything turned out okay. Even like the mics falling down and all that good stuff. We'll do it again. So take care, love big, and I'll talk with you soon.